Well, hello and welcome all you wonderful people out there in YouTube land to the Texas Special YouTube channel. In this episode of Mo's Hobby Shop, we are going to be taking a look at this Bachmann Santa Fe Flyer diesel freight set. Now this set comes with a 36-inch circle of fast track, the transformer, the wall pack for the transformer, an F7 diesel locomotive lettered for the Santa Fe Railroad, a 40-foot gondola lettered for the Wabash Railroad, a Delaware and Hudson 40-foot quad hopper with a coal load, and an offset cupola caboose lettered for Santa Fe. Now this set has pretty much everything that the Rail Chief set does that I reviewed earlier this month, with the exception of the accessories. As far as the track, it's the same type of track. As far as the transformer, it's the same transformer. Now you see there is some cellophane here. Well, that's actually some plastic, like a thin plastic bag that Mr. Mo threw in here to protect this better than it otherwise would be with just the box. I'm not going to go through and pull out the track because that was covered in a previous video and has been covered in previous videos. And same thing with the transformer. Actually, I could probably steal footage from that product review and throw it in here. That's what I'll do. So we'll look at that demo and see how the track goes together. Again, this set only comes with a 36-inch circle of track. So the re-railer and terminal section for this set, if you have one or if you bought one, or you're thinking about buying one, instead of a 9-inch straight section, it will be a 18-inch radius curve section. But all the other information still applies. To get this set out of the box, you undo this tab while you try not to curse about why everything is automatically made 10 times harder when you're trying to do it on camera. Lift the tab, or lift the, open the lid rather, and slide it out. Set the box over to the side, and you can see there what I was talking about, just regular old plastic. Now, inside this tray, again, you have all the trains. So, we'll start with the caboose. Again, this is a regular old Bachmann caboose. Bachmann's been using these off-center steel cupola cabooses for decades, quite literally. I say steel, obviously it's plastic construction, but it's meant to model a steel car. You have these curved hand railings here. You have plastic free-rolling wheels, which I'm kind of shocked he hasn't switched out to metal. Body-mounted Easy Mate knuckle couplers. You have a toolbox, you have the emergency and service reservoir, you have the triple valve, you have the air piston, air lines leading to all three components, as well as brake rigging on the underside of the car, and some very minimalistic car frame detailing. You have these separately applied hand railings here on the end of the car with a cast-on marker light, which on this one is at least painted silver to kind of differentiate it from the car body, which is a nice touch. As I've said before, most cars have an A and a B end, the B end being where the handbrake is. Cabooses generally have two B ends and no A end. You have the smoke jack, which is painted silver, or molded in silver plastic rather. You've got the cast-on brakeman's walkway here along the top, as well as cast-on grab irons around the edge of the cupola. These cars are, if you were curious, very closely resemble Burlington's way cars, which is what they called cabooses, because they're ignorant Midwesterners. I mean, what? Looking at the 40-foot quad hopper, if I can get it out of the box. There we go. That's in there snug. You have, the car body is molded in red plastic. From what I can tell, accurate to the Delaware and Hudson's paint scheme for the prototypes. All of the car lettering and car data is accurate. You have a nicely done herald there. You have full height ladder here, cast on stirrup steps, as well as a grab iron there. Loads of rivet detailing throughout the body of this car. On the B end, you have the separately applied handbrake. You have the full height ladder here, brake rigging detailing, which is, it's hard for me to see, so I doubt you guys can see it on the camera. Nice rivet detailing along the end panel here. And I'm doing the best I can here to try and show y'all, but there is an emergency and service reservoir, an air brake piston, and a triple valve details all inside of here on the correct end of the car. On the underside, you can see the center sill of the car. Well, that's pretty much it for detailing. There's a little bit of, I can feel, but I'm having difficulty seeing, rivet detailing cast onto the underside of the bays, the free rolling plastic wheels, the Bachmann magnetic knuckle couplers. And this coal load is removable. It's kind of in there tight, but it is removable. And I do like the way this coal load is done a little bit better than the coal load on the previous set that I reviewed, simply because it's not so shiny. We look at the 40-foot gondola. You can see it's a little shinier than the previous cars we've looked at. But other than the sheen on the plastic, everything else is nicely done. You have the WAB 7242. You have all the car data is correct from what I can tell. Very nicely done Wabash, very nicely done herald there. Lots of rivet detailing along the body of the car. Not sure how well y'all can see that, but it is there. Cast on grab iron here, cast on stirrup steps, full height ladder here. There is also another full height ladder on this back corner and another single grab iron on this back corner. We look at the B end of the car, you can see there, separately applied handbrake wheel, a little brakeman's perch, a ladder, polling pockets, dreadnought ends, some scant rivet detailing cast on grab irons. The interior of the car is more of the same as with the previous train set I reviewed. You have rivet detailing in there, although it's a little bit more lightly done in this. Rivet detailing is not as pronounced as it was on that Canadian National gondola. On the underside of this thing, you see the emergency and service reservoir. Hopefully see the emergency and service reservoir. All the air lines running to the different components, the brake rigging, the brake piston, the triple valve, free rolling plastic wheels, Bachmann Easy Mate knuckle couplers. Excuse me. And finally, the item y'all really care about, the locomotive. Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. This is a Bachmann F7, I believe, maybe an F3. It's an F unit. Decorated in Santa Fe's iconic war bonnet paint scheme. This paint scheme is one of the most recognizable in all of railroading, prototypical and modern, or model. The Santa Fe herald there is very nicely done. The pinstriping on the yellow and black, if you look at it closely, it could be done a little bit better. There is some haziness when you look at the edge of the yellow against the red the black against the yellow and the black against the silver. At a distance, it looks fine. You have the Santa Fe there. You have the illuminated number board, which has no numbers. This engine actually doesn't have a road number at all anywhere. You have the cast-on door and hand railings beside the door, cast-on ladder. The trucks look actually pretty freaking good. 2 brake cylinders per side frame per truck. Brake shoes, lots of nice detailing, journals, leaf springs, swing arms, everything looks good. You have the skirting beside the tank, fuel tank. You have the 4 portal holes. You have all this. These grills are cast on here along the top of the locomotive so you can't see in. So you have the door to the engine compartment there with a ladder. At the top, looking at the top of the locomotive, you can see there's a little bit of a plasticky sheen to it, but you know, lower end train set engine. You have these cast on grills, cast on exhaust stacks, obviously non-operating. 2 single chime air horns. If you look at the rear of the locomotive, you'll see the diaphragm frame is cast on. You have these little ribs, which are prototypical. Cast on door with a window, and of course the Bachmann easy make coupler, and this is one of the newer ones with a spring, not the stupid plastic tab that breaks easily. The front end of the engine, I'm not sure. I'm not a Santa Fe guy. I'm really not. So I'm not sure if the 3 bands there is correct or if it's supposed to be just one solid band or what have you. But I mean, to my eye, it looks good. It looks right. Other than the fact that there's a little bit of haziness around the ends and edges of each individual stripe. The Santa Fe logo itself, the herald here, is a decal that's centered nicely on the locomotive. There's no flaking, there's no cracking. It's not uneven or tilted. You have a little pilot there, you have an operating headlight, you have interior illumination for the cab, no windshield wipers cast on or separately applied. This pilot looks gorgeous. Lots of rivet detailing along the pilot. You have the 2 little vents or grills right there on the lower portion of the nose, which are prototypically correct from what I can tell. And of course the locomotive has 8-wheel electrical pickup and traction. So all 8 wheels of the locomotive pick up power and actually provide tractive effort to pull itself and a train. And we will be running this guy on the Stars Hollow Railroad. Even though it has track that it comes with, I'm not going to do that when I have a full functioning railroad to run all this on. Okay, so if you are new to the hobby, if you're just getting your feet wet and you got either this or any other Bachmann set, this is how you assemble the track and wire the track, at least for the purposes of getting your train set running. Okay, so first step, your Bachmann Easy Track. Okay, it's a pretty good track system. I use it on the Stars Hollow Railroad. Most model railroaders don't use it for a permanent railroad, but you know, it does just fine if you assemble it correctly. So you can see here there is a locking tab and there's a little nub here. There's a little slot that this nub slides into on an adjacent piece of track, and this locking tab slides right here. So you get a good secure connection. Additionally, this little tab right here is a rail joiner that helps ensure electrical continuity throughout the circle of track. You'll notice there's one on this side but not one on this side. There's a rail joiner on the opposite rail that slides into place over here. So, and the fact that they're offset like that allows you to arrange the tracks particularly curves, in whatever arrangement you want without having to modify the track in any way. Take a second piece of track, slide them together, make sure that the rail joiners make sure that the rails actually go in the rail joiners. You want it to look like that one there, not like this one here. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but the rail is actually riding up over the top of the rail joiner. So we'll pull that apart, re-angle it a little bit, and there. We have a good connection. Both rails are in both rail joiners. And you can see there, the tabs and nubs are in the correct spot. And you have a good, solid connection. The track will not, under normal circumstances, with normal use, come apart. Now, the next step in getting your train set running, take this wire here, the red wire. It has a plug on one end, has a female plug on one end, and a male barrel jack plug on the other, similar to old school speakers and headphones. So, take the female end, you plug it in to these little silver nubs here on your terminal section, and if you have a different train set, it might be a curved re-railer / terminal section. It might have gray roadbed instead of black. Right here, it's very, very Barney style. You got an illustration of a piece of track and it says 2-track. Take the male end of the barrel jack plug and plug it in. On this right here, you see 1000 ohms or milliamps or whatever the heck that is. I'm not an electrician and I'm not pretending to be one either. Take this plug, plug that in. And then this, if you don't know what to do with this, you really probably shouldn't be playing with something like this. Once you have this plugged into an outlet, there will be power to this. Now this big knob is your throttle. That controls your speed. The more you, all the way to the left is stop. No power applied to the rail. All the way to the right is full power. She's giving it everything she's got. You've got direction, all right? So depending on how you have that attached to the rail with regards to which is hot and which is positive and which is negative, that will determine which direction the locomotive actually goes. And then if you flip it the opposite direction, then obviously it's going to go the opposite direction. Pro tip, when you have this plugged in, if this plug is seated correctly and all the way, this little red dot here, that's actually an LED that will light up to show that there is actually power going to the transformer. This is a DC transformer, this is not a DCC transformer, just for clarification purposes. So if you put two locomotives on the same track, they will both respond at the same time in unison. Now, granted, with respect to gear ratios and things and such of that, one might be a little faster than the other, so that's just something to keep in mind. Also, this is not meant to power a permanent railroad of a decent size. This will get you by with this train set, obviously. It can easily handle one, maybe two, maybe three non-sound equipped locomotives. And we shouldn't have a problem powering your average 4-foot by 8-foot starter type railroad. But if you're going to go much bigger than that, I highly recommend, and anyone else that's been in this hobby for a hot minute and a half is going to highly recommend you upgrade to a bigger transformer at a minimum if you don't switch to DCC. Okay, I'd like to clarify something that I erroneously stated in the product review earlier. This thing does not have cab illumination. so there is no interior lighting in the cab. The headlight and number boards do illuminate, and it is not directional lighting. Not that it matters, because there's no rear headlight. So forward or reverse, if there's power to the motor, the headlight's coming on. So I've got the Digitrax Zephyr unhooked from the railroad, and I have my MRC Rail Power 1370 hooked up. So we're going to take a look at the headlight. And you can see the number board there on the side of the nose. Alright, so let's see how this thing does. Just kind of crawling. When it actually starts moving. Alright, I'm at 25% and I can hear the motor coming alive. And just a little bit over 25% it starts creeping. Kind of creeping kind of fast, but you know, this thing's a Santa Fe war bonnet. It's used to flying. That's what they're made to do. Takes a little bit more juice to get it moving in reverse. I'm not sure if that's a product of, you know, just hasn't been broken in yet or what, but either way, a little bit more free rolling forward than it is in reverse. So we will couple this guy up, and I'm going to run him on the main track around the railroad, since this is a war bonnet and these boys was meant to fly. Alright, now we're going to crank it up to about half throttle. Alright, we're going to kick it up to about 3/4 now. And that was full throttle. I've backed it down now to about 50% just because that, well, it's a good speed, I figure. Alright, so if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that normally when I do these reviews like this, I string a bunch of cars behind a locomotive and see what I can get out of it. Not exceeding about 15 cars or so, because that's pretty much the limit for this railroad without it looking like the engine's chasing the caboose. I didn't do that this time because I'm reviewing a train set, not a separate sail locomotive. So I wanted to see how the train set, that is the locomotive and cars combined within the one set, ran around the railroad. I thank y'all for watching. I hope you found it entertaining and informational. Texas Special out.